His primary domain is protection of the intestines, and he is also associated with mummification. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Kebe-Senwef. He is one of the 4 sons of Horus. Horus Bedeti. Horus Bedeti is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is kingship, and he is also associated with victory. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Horus Bedete. He represents the winged solar Horus. Horus Sematori. Horus Sematori is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is unification, and he is also associated with kingship. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Horus Ser-Martawi. He symbolizes the union of Upper and Lower Egypt. Knumra. Knumra is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Kenum Ra. He merges craftsmanship with solar life. Khonsu Thoth. Khonsu Thoth is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is time, and he is also associated with wisdom. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Khonsu Thoth. He unites lunar motion and intellect. Mahes. Mahes is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is war, and he is also associated with lions. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Mahes. He embodies ferocious protection. Mentura. Mentura is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is war, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Mentu Ra. He represents solar aggression. Montu Horus. Montu Horus is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is warfare, and he is also associated with kingship. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Montu Horus. He merges battle and royal authority. Nefertum. Nefertum is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is beauty, and he is also associated with healing. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Nefertum. He represents youthful perfection. Osiris Ra. Osiris Ra is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is rebirth, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Osiris Ra. He unites resurrection and light. Partartatanen. Partartatanen is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation, and he is also associated with the primordial mound. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Tartartanen. He merges craftsmanship and emergence. Raratum. Raratum is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is the sun, and he is also associated with creation. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Ra-Atum. He represents solar origin. Ra-Khepri. Ra-Khepri is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is rebirth, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Ra-Khepri. He represents dawn renewal. Ra-Horikti. Ra-Horikti is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is the sun, and he is also associated with kingship. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Ra-Horakti. He unites solar and royal power. Sobekra. Sobekra is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is strength, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Sobek Ra. He merges ferocity with solar force. Thoth-Amun. Thoth-Amun is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is wisdom, and he is also associated with hidden power. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Thoth-Amun. He unites knowledge and mystery. Thothpartar. Thothpartar is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is intellect, and he is also associated with creation. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Thoth. He merges thought and form. Wadjet Bastet. Wadjet Bastet is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is protection, and she is also associated with royalty. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Wadjet Bastet. She merges cobra and feline guardianship. Wepwarit Horus. Wepwarit Horus is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is guidance, and he is also associated with kingship. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Wepwawet Horus. He opens the way for rulers. Wazret Amun. Wazret Amun is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is sovereignty, and she is also associated with hidden divinity. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Wozret Amun. She represents the Ban authority. Zoza. Zoza is a deified Kemetic king. His primary domain is kingship, and he is also associated with legacy. He originates from Kemet in the Old Kingdom. His name is pronounced Zosa. He represents enduring rule. Come back for part 8.
Katrina, when death learned to smile. Before she wore flowers, before she became a face painted on the living, before her image danced through festivals and altars, there was one truth no one wanted to face. Death came for everyone. Kings and laborers, the adorned and the forgotten, those wrapped in silk and those wrapped only in earth. But the living feared death so deeply that they pretended it belonged only to the poor, the sick, the unseen. And so she appeared, not a monster, not a demon, but as a woman. La Katrina stood tall, bare-boned and beautifully dressed, wearing the elegance the living believed could save them. Her skull smiled beneath the fine hats and flowers, because no amount of gold could buy exception. She did not speak at first. She did not need to. Her presence alone was a lesson. She walked among the living during the days of remembrance, when the veil thinned and the dead were invited home. Children laughed at her image. Families placed candles and bread before her likeness. Music followed in her steps. And slowly, fear loosened its grip. La Katrina taught them something sacred. Death is not the interruption of life. It is a continuation of relationship. She carries no scythe. She demands no worship. She asks only to be remembered. Her flowers bloom in cemeteries because memory feeds the dead. Her painted eyes gaze gently because love does not end with breath. When names are spoken, when stories are retold, when laughter rises beyond grief, the dead rise again. Not in flesh, but in presence. La Katrina stands at the center of this exchange, not as a ruler, but as a hostess. She welcomes the ancestors. She reminds the living to eat, to drink, to dance, to live fully while breath still remains. Her smile is not mockery. It is mercy. She tells the living, do not hide from death. Do not rush past it in silence. Sit with it, decorate it, speak it. Because when death is acknowledged, life becomes richer. And when the final breath comes, La Katrina will not arrive as a stranger. She will already be known, already honored, already smiling. Manat, the one who does not arrive. The world still moves. Caravans cross the dust-choked roads. Merchants count their goods. Children run between shadows that have not yet learned to linger. Men sharpen blades and speak of tomorrow as if it's owed to them. Life assumes continuation. That assumption is why Manat is never noticed first. Her shrine stands where motion slows, near graves, near the sea where waves erase their own footprints, near the edge of settlements where names begin to thin. It is not grand, it does not announce itself, it does not arrive. People come to Manat only when they have already begun to suspect that time is no longer stretching forward the way it once had. A traveler arrives. He is not desperate, not yet. He believes there is still margin, that something can be delayed, negotiated, rearranged. He brings offerings, not to bargain, but because the habit insists that all powers must respond. He kneels. Nothing happened. No wind shifts. No voice answers. No sign breaks the air. That is not neglect. That is Menad. Among the peoples of pre-Islamic Arabia, Menad was not feared as a destroyer. She was honored as the one who measured. She does not strike. She does not pursue. She does not arrive suddenly in the night. She assigns. Every life is given a portion, a length, a span, a weight of days. Once given, it is not revised. Manat does not revoke what has been counted. The traveler waits longer than he intended to. He listens for something, anything that might suggest change, but the shrine remains still. And he begins to understand. Manat is not silenced because she has not heard him. Manat is not silent because she has not heard him. She is silent because the question has already been answered. There is no realization of doom, no terror, only clarity. Manat was present at his beginning, not watching and not judging, simply counting. The length of his breath was measured before he took his first. The number of times his name would be spoken was already known. The moment he would stand here, waiting, was never in doubt. She does not observe the end of lives. She witnesses the moment they are allocated. So the traveler lowers his head. He does not ask for more time. He does not plead. There is nothing left to say, because Manat is not cruel. Cruelty implies choice. She is not merciful either. Mercy implies flexibility. She is final because she is precise. Manat does not come for the living. She does not rise when death is near. She does not cross thresholds or lift veils. She has always been there. When the traveler leaves the shrine, the world continues as before. The caravans still move, the markets still hum, and the children still run. Nothing has changed, except the traveler now understands that continuation is not promise. It is allowance, and allowance is finite. Manat remains, unmoving, unarguing, unimpressed by fear or hope. She does not need to appear in the end. She was present at the beginning.
Kemetic Gods Encyclopedia, Core Netgeru Block 8, entries 351 to 400. Amunit. Amunit is a Kemetic goddess. Her primary domain is hiddenness, and she is also associated with mystery. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Amunet. She represents concealed divine presence. Amornit. Amornit is a Kemetic goddess. Her primary domain is invisibility, and she is also associated with the Primeval state. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Rmronet. She embodies unseen beginnings. Anukit Satet. Anukit Satet is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is the Nile, and she is also associated with fertility. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Anuket Sotet. She represents river abundance. Atum Khepri. Atum Khepri is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation, and he is also associated with transformation. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Artum Kapri. He represents the cycle of becoming. Bastet Sekhmet. Bastet Sekhmet is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is protection, and she is also associated with destruction. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Bastet Sekhmet. She embodies dual feline power. Jebshu. Jebshu is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is earth and air. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Jebshu. He represents elemental balance. Happy Osiris. Happy Osiris is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is fertility and rebirth. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Hapi Osiris. He unites nourishment and resurrection. Horus Akti. Horus Akti is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is the horizon, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Horus Akti. He represents the solar boundary. Isisitha. Isisitha is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is motherhood, and she is also associated with love. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Isis Hathor. She merges maternal and joyful power. Khonsura. Khonsura is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is time, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Khonsura. He unites lunar and solar cycles. Maratra. Maratra is a Kemetic syncretic deity. Its primary domain is cosmic order. It originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Its name is pronounced Emraht Ra. It represents solar justice. Montura Horikti. Montura Horikti is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is war and solar power. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Montu Ra Horakti. He embodies aggressive sunlight. Nithra. Nithra is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is creation, and she is also associated with the sun. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Neet Ra. She merges primordial craft and light. Nephthys Osiris. Nephthys Osiris is a Kemetic syncretic deity. Its primary domain is death and protection. It originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Its name is pronounced Nebthys Osiris. It represents funerary guardianship. Nunra. Nunra is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation from chaos. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Nun Ra. He represents light emerging from waters. Osiris Khentiamentiu. Osiris Khentiamentiu is a Kemetic god. His primary domain is the afterlife. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Osiris Khenti Armentio. He rules the western dead. Patara. Patara is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation, and he is also associated with the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Ta-Ra. He merges thought and illumination. Ra-Osiris. Ra-Osiris is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is rebirth. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Ra-Osiris. He unites daylight and resurrection. Sekhmetra. Sekhmetra is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is destruction, and she is also associated with the sun. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Sekhmet Ra. She represents solar wrath. Sobek Horus. Sobek Horus is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is strength, and he is also associated with kingship. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Sobek Horus. He merges ferocity and rule. Tatanan Patar. Tatanan Patar is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is creation and emergence. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Tartanen-tar. He represents Earth rising into form. Thothmarat. Thothmarat is a Kemetic syncretic deity. Its primary domain is wisdom and truth. It originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Its name is pronounced Thoth-Mraht. It unites intellect and order. Wojetra is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is protection, and she is also associated with the sun. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Wojet-Ra. She guards solar sovereignty. Wepwarit Osiris. Wepwarit Osiris is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is guidance through death. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Wepwawet Osiris. He opens the way to the afterlife. Wurit Haikaura is a Kemetic syncretic goddess. Her primary domain is magic and royal power. She originates from Kemet in the ancient era. Her name is pronounced Wayret Hekau-Ra. She embodies sovereign enchantment. Zehutira is a Kemetic syncretic god. His primary domain is wisdom and the sun. He originates from Kemet in the ancient era. His name is pronounced Zehuti-Ra. He merges knowledge and illumination. This marks the end of the Kemetic Gods Encyclopedia. Thank you for your support.
Loki was not Jotun. Loki was both. Loki was Jotun bloodline with Asgardian influence. And this would be the crux of who Loki would be for his entire life. The in-between. The shapeshifter who understood both sides of the equation in detail. Being one, himself a Jotun, and being completely immersed in the Aesir as a sworn brother of Odin. The end-of-times destruction of Asgard was something already written in fate. The name we would later give that ending was Ragnarok. And hidden within the framework of Ragnarok, there was a smile. A smile in the halls of Asgard. That smile belonged to Loki. Loki did not conquer kingdoms, he exposed them. He did not overthrow thrones, he revealed the fractures already running through them. Destabilization does not begin at the gate. It begins at the table. In the golden halls of the gods, where pride stood as carved pillars, Loki laughed. And when he laughed, it was rarely without purpose. In a tale remembered as the Lokasena, he insults every god present. But listen carefully. He does not invent flaws. He names them. Cowardice, infidelity, broken oaths, hidden shame. The feast grows silent not because he lies, but because he speaks too clearly. Truth destabilizes faster than deception. Loki was not chaos without awareness. He was chaos with precision. And precision makes disruption lethal. He shifts shapes as easily as others shift alliances. Man to woman, god to beast, ally to adversary. He becomes a mare and gives birth to Sleipnir, the eight-legged steed that Odin himself would ride. That is not absurdity. That is boundary collapse. In mythology, order survives through categories: god and giant, male and female, friend and foe. Loki crosses all of those. When boundaries dissolve, certainty dissolves with them. And the pivot point of Asgard's destiny comes through Balder. Balder the Radiant, the Beloved, the embodiment of divine light. The gods believed he's untouchable. Loki proved otherwise. A single overlooked weakness, a sprig of mistletoe, a guided hand, and the light of Asgard fell. With Balder's death, something irreversible entered the system. Not fire, not war, but inevitability. Once perfection is exposed as frail, collapse becomes a matter of time. For this act, Loki is bound beneath the earth, a serpent suspended above him, venom dripping towards his face. His wife, Signy, catches the poison in the bowl, but when the bowl must be empty, the venom strikes. Loki writhes. The earth trembles. Those trembles are remembered as earthquakes. Chaos restrained is not chaos erased. It waits. And when Ragnarok finally arrives, Loki does not whisper from the shadows. He marches. No longer the clever guest, he is the declared adversary. He stands against Heimdall, guardian of order, watcher of the Rainbow Bridge, the stabilizer against Sentinel. They destroy each other. Because order and disruption are not eternal enemies, they are forces locked in tension. Without Loki, the gods would stagnate. With Loki, they unravel. He is not merely a trickster, he is not comic relief. He is not a villain drawn in simple lines. He is the fault line beneath the Golden City. The living reminder that no hierarchy is flawless. Tiamat, the first mother of monsters. Before there were gods with names, before temples, before prayers, before fear knew how to kneel, there was Tiamat. Not born, not created, not crowned. She was. She was the saltwater ocean before shorelines existed, the dark womb before light learned how to speak, the roar beneath creation, where nothing had yet decided what it wanted to be. Tiamat was not evil. She was not kind. She was unfiltered existence. In the beginning, there was only mingling. Fresh water and salt. Apsu and Tiamat. Stillness and motion folding into one another. From this union came the younger gods. Loud, restless, impatient. They shouted inside the silence. They stirred the waters. They forgot that they were guests inside a body older than time. And the old gods began to ache. Apsu wanted silence back. He planned destruction not out of cruelty, but out of exhaustion. The young gods killed him first. They struck the quiet father down, and the waters trembled. Tiamat felt it. Not as grief alone, but as betrayal. Creation had turned on its source. Something ancient woke up in her depths. Not rage, not vengeance. Correction. The sea does not scream when it floods a city. It simply returns things to where they belong. Tiamat did not declare war. She responded. She gave birth again. This time, not to gods who would forget her. This time she birthed monsters. Serpents with venom instead of prayers. Dragons with eyes like eclipses. Creatures shaped by fear itself. Not because she loved chaos, but because chaos was truth before order learned how to lie. A consort forged for war, and the heavens shook. The younger gods panicked. They had learned how to rule, but not how to face their mother. They searched for a weapon. They searched for a hero. They chose Marduk. Not because he was the oldest, not because he was the wisest, but because he promised control. Marduk did not face Tiamat as a son. He faced her as a system. He brought nets to trap the infinite winds, to suffocate the ocean. Words to define what should never have been named. And when he struck her down, creation didn't cheer, it split. From her body, the world was built. Her ribs became the sky. Her blood became the rivers. Her bones became the foundation of order. Civilization rose on a corpse, and all the gods called it victory. But listen closely. Chaos was never destroyed. It was never dissected. Tiamat did not vanish. She was repurposed. Every storm that ignores your prayers, every flood that erases borders, every moment where systems collapse under their own arrogance, that is her breath moving through the cracks. Tiamat is not a villain. She is the reminder that order is temporary, that control is borrowed, that creation always comes from something older, darker, and deeper than comfort allows. She is the mother civilization buried alive, and she is still dreaming. The gods fear chaos because it reminds them of what they were before they learned how to rule, that they were simply aspects of the universe, no greater or lesser than any other creation.
Rain Gods of the World. A Myth Archives reading. Rain has always meant survival. Before irrigation canals. Before industrial farming. Before written scripture. Rain determined whether a village lived or starved. Across continents and across millennia, cultures did not treat rain as random. They treated it as personal. They gave it a name, a temperament, a will. This is a survey of the rain gods of the world. The first storm kings in ancient Mesopotamia, one of the earliest recorded rain deities, was Ishkor. He was a storm god of Sumer. He carried thunder. He brought the life-giving waters that fed the Tigris and Euphrates basin. Later, in Akkadian and Babylonian traditions, he was known as Adad. The name changed. The storms did not. In Anatolia and Hurrian lands, the storm authority was Teshub. He stood upon mountains. He wielded lightning. He governed both destruction and renewal. To the west, in Canaan, Baal-Hadad rose as a central agricultural power. He defeated Mot, the force of drought and death. His victories were seasonal. His battles were cycles. Further east, in the Vedic tradition of ancient India, Indra became the archetype of the storm warrior. He slew the serpent Vritra. From the body of the serpent, the rivers were released. Rain was not gentle. Rain was liberated. Alongside Indra was Parjanya, a more focused embodiment of rainfall itself. He was invoked directly for agricultural fertility. Vayuna, keeper of cosmic order, governed the waters more broadly, celestial, oceanic, and atmospheric. In Greece, Zeus carried many titles. As Zeus Ombrios, he was the rainbringer. Lightning was his signature, but rain was his mercy. In Rome, Jupiter Pluvius held the same authority. When drought threatened the state, rituals were performed in his name. In the Norse world, Thor was not merely a thunder god. He was protector of crops and fields. His hammer struck giants and shook rain from the sky. Among the Slavs, Perun ruled the oak and the storm. His lightning was a divine weapon. His rain sustained the land. Across Europe and Western Asia, the pattern repeats. The Storm King is a warrior. Rain is power. Rain as dragon and serpent in China, rain was not only thunder. It was dragon. The Dragon Kings, known as Long Wang, ruled the four seas. Each direction had a sovereign. Each sovereign governed rainfall over their region. When drought struck, emperors performed rituals to petition the dragons. Yusha served as an official rain deity within the celestial bureaucracy. Rain was organized, scheduled, administered. In Japan, Kurokami was a dragon spirit of rain. Raijin, the thunder god, beat drums across the sky. Storms were musical. Rain was percussion. In Mesoamerica, the Maya invoked Chark. He wielded a lightning axe. With it, he split the clouds open. The Aztec honored Tlaloc. He resided in mountain caves and high places. Rain was believed to originate from sacred elevations. His favor meant harvest. His anger meant famine. The Zapotec worshipped Cosijo, a lightning and rain deity with serpent imagery. Serpents and rain were often linked. Both moved across the land in flowing patterns. In Vedic myth, Indra's opponent Vritra was also a serpent. The serpent holds the waters. The storm god releases them. Across cultures, rain is either dragon or dragon slayer. Rain mothers and fertility bearers. Not all rain deities were warriors. Some were mothers. In ancient Egypt, Tefnut embodied moisture itself. She was part of the creation cycle. Without her, dryness prevailed. In Zulu tradition, Mbaba Mwana Warisa was a goddess of rain, agriculture, and the rainbow. Rain was beauty. Rain was color. In Akan cosmology, Ases Yer represented the earth. Rain fertilized her body. Together, sky and soil formed partnership. Among the Maya, Chak Shell was associated with storms and destructive floods. Rain nourishes, but it also overwhelms. In Polynesian tradition, Tawira Matia was lord of winds and storms. His anger shaped the atmosphere. In Hawaii, Lono governed rain and fertility during the Makahiki season. Rain was tied to peace cycles and harvest celebration. These traditions remind us, rain is not only force. Rain is intimacy between sky and earth. Sky fathers and high gods. Some cultures did not separate rain from the highest deity. Among the Kikuyu of Kenya, Nai was a supreme sky god associated with Mount Kenya. Rain descended from sacred elevation. In Finnish mythology, Ukko ruled thunder and seasonal rains. He was invoked to protect crops and ensure harvest. Among the Navajo, Taniniliai was a rain god with trickster qualities. Rain was unpredictable. Among the Lakota, Wakinian represented thunder beings. They were not singular gods, but powerful spirits. Rain was communal in the sky world. In Etruscan belief, Aplu carried storm authority that influenced later Roman interpretations. In Japan, Susanoo governed storms and sea. His temperament reflected nature's volatility. In Mesopotamia, Enlil, lord of wind, commanded atmospheric force. Wind precedes rain. Breath precedes storm. Across continents, the pattern expands. Sometimes rain belongs to a specialized deity. Sometimes it belongs to the sky itself. The agricultural equation. Agrarian societies develop rain theology quickly. Without rain, there is no grain. Without grain, there is no state. This is why rain gods often rise in river valley civilizations. Mesopotamia, Egypt, India, China, Mesoamerica. Rain is political. Rulers often aligned themselves with rain deities. To control narrative was to claim divine favor. If rain came, the king was blessed. If drought came, someone had failed. Rain gods are rarely minor figures. They sit near the top of pantheons. Because rain determines survival. Patterns across cultures, across traditions, certain themes repeat. Rain is released from restraint. Rain is tied to serpents or dragons. Rain is accompanied by thunder. Rain follows divine conflict. Rain ensures fertility. Rain reflects divine mood. The storm king. The rain dragon. The fertility mother. The sky father. The trickster wind. Different cultures. Similar archetypes. Closing reflection. Rain falls without language. But humanity never experienced it silently. They interpreted it. They ritualized it. They negotiated with it. They sang to it. Across thousands of years, rain has been seen as a weapon, a gift, a test, a covenant. To study rain gods is to study how humanity understood dependency. We do not command the sky, but we have always tried to speak to it. And in that conversation, the rain answers.
graves with fire. When the drums fall silent and the earth is freshly turned, she arrives, not from the sky, not from the sea, from the grave itself. Maman Brigitte walks where the dead are laid, where names are carved into stone and forgotten by the living. She is the keeper of the cemetery, the one who knows every grave by touch, every bone by memory. Fire follows her steps, not to destroy, but to purify. She laughs loudly because death does not frighten her. She drinks, she curses, she dances among the tombs, because grief must breathe, or it rots the soul. Maman Brigitte is the wife of Baron Samedi, but she is no shadow to him. Where he opens the door, she decides what happens next. She listens to the dead, to the woman who was beaten and buried in silence, to the child whose name was never spoken again, to the man whose blood was spilled without justice. The dead do not whisper to Maman Brigitte, they demand. And when wrong has been done, she remembers. Her fire is not rage without reason. It is fire of correction. The fire that burns sickness out of flesh. The fire that turns curses back on those who earn them. The fire that protects the innocent and punishes the cruel. She heals with the same hands she destroys with, but justice is not gentle. When she mounts a body, her voice becomes sharp, raw, unfiltered. She swears, she laughs, she tells the truth without apology. Those who approach her with respect receive protection, healing, and strength. Those who mock her, exploit the dead, or harm the powerless learn quickly why the cemetery is not a place of weakness. Maman Brigitte stands between worlds, feet planted among bones, head crowned with fire. She is proof that death does not belong to fear, that spirits remember, that injustice does not escape consequence. And when the living forget, when the powerful believe they are untouched, when crimes are buried with bodies, Maman Brigitte walks the grave at night, igniting candles that cannot be blown out, because the dead are never silent, and she is always listening. The trickster who slowed the sun. In the time before time was measured, before hours were named, before the days were counted, the sun raced across the sky. It rose too quickly, it fell too soon, and the people suffered for it. There was never enough daylight. Crops withered before they could grow. Clothes could not be finished. Fishing nets remained half woven. Children went hungry, not from lack of effort, but from lack of time. Each day slipped away like water through fingers, and so the people cried out. They spoke to the winds, they spoke to the land, they spoke to the sea, and one among them listened. His name was Maui, born between worlds, neither fully God nor fully man. Maui was known as a trickster, a breaker of rules, a challenger of what was said to be impossible. Where others bowed to the natural order, Maui questioned it. When he first heard of the people suffering, he did not pray for mercy, he chose defiance. If the sun is a problem, Maui said, then the sun must be confronted. The elders warned him, no one challenges the sun, no one binds the sky, no one survives such arrogance. Maui only smiled. He traveled deep into the forest, where ancient knowledge still sleeps in the roots and the stone. There he gathered strong fibers, flax, vines, sacred cords, and braided them together. No ordinary ropes, but ropes woven with chant, breath, and intention. Ropes meant to hold the god. When the cords were finished, Maui sharpened the bone-jaw weapon he carried, a relic of power, a symbol of his lineage. Then before dawn, while the world still whispered in the darkness, Maui climbed to the eastern edge of the earth. He hid where the sun first rises. The sun began to glow. Heat pressed against the horizon, And then the sun emerged, blazing, proud, unstoppable. As it climbed, Maui leapt from his hiding place. He cast the ropes. One wrapped around the sun's arms, another bound its body, another caught its blazing path across the sky. The sun roared, the light burned, the heat scorched the land, but the ropes held. The sun struggled, furious and unyielding, until Maui struck. Again and again. Not to destroy, but to teach. "Listen," Maui said, his voice steady against the fire. "You race too high. You leave the people in darkness. You steal their labor, their food, their lives." The sun resisted. It had never been challenged before, never been bound, never been told no. But even the sun must answer when the balance of the world is broken. At last, weakened and humble, the sun agreed. It would slow its journey. It would stretch the day. It would give the people time. Maui released the ropes. The sun rose again, but this time slowly. Day lingered. Shadows lengthened gently. Fields flourished. Work was finished. Children slept with full bellies. And time, for the first time, belonged to humanity. Maui did not stay to be praised. Tricksters never do. He vanished into story, into chant, into memory. But every long day, every lingering sunset, every moment where the light holds just a little longer, that is Maui. Not the one who feared the gods, but the one who reminded them that humanity too has needs. And sometimes even the sun must be told to slow down.
In classical mythology, Memnon, the king of Ethiopia, is consistently described and depicted as black. Ancient Greek vase paintings frequently portrayed him with black skin. Roman authors like Virgil and Ovid explicitly referred to it as dark or black-skinned. In Greek mythology, Memnon was a king of Ethiopia and the son of Tithonus and Hipparchus and Adariekl, the goddess of the dawn. During the Trojan War, he brought an army to aid the Trojans. Memnon is most famous for killing Antilochus, the son of Nestor. Seeking revenge for his fallen companion, Achilles challenged Memnon to single combat. Although warned that his own death would soon follow Memnon's, Achilles accepted the challenge. In the duel, Achilles slew Memnon by driving a spear through his chest. The death of Memnon mirrors the earlier death of Hector, another defender of Troy whom Achilles killed to avenge the death of Patroclus. After Memnon's death, Zeus was moved by the grief of Eos and granted her son immortality. The story of Memnon's final battle was told in the lost epic Aethiopis, believed to have been composed during the 7th century BC. His death was later described by Quintus of Smyrna in the Post-America, and by Philostratus in the Imaginings. Roman-era writer Dictys Cretensis records that Memnon arrived at Troy with a vast army of Indians and Ethiopians, numbering in the thousands and equipped with many different kinds of weapons. According to the account, the army exceeded even Priam's greatest hopes. Strabo preserves a tradition attributed to Simonides that Memnon was buried near Paltus in Syria. On the banks of the river Badas, Memnon in ancient art Memnon appears frequently in surviving Greek art. Vase paintings often depict him as a dark-skinned warrior, archer, or king. Modern catalogs have identified more than 100 surviving references to Memnon in ancient artistic and literary sources. One notable image depicts a black archer accompanied by 2 Amazons. Scholars have debated whether the figure represents Memnon himself or is an attendant associated with Memnon in the Post-America. According to Quintus of Smyrna, Memnon arrived at Troy shortly after a debate among Polydamas, Helen, and Priam concerning whether the Ethiopian king would come to the city's aid. His army was described as so large that it could not be counted. Upon arriving, Memnon was honored with a great banquet hosted by Priam. During the feast, the 2 leaders exchanged stories of their past victories. Priam declared that Memnon would become Troy's savior, but Memnon remained humble and insisted that true worth should be proven in battle rather than through boasts. Before the next day's fighting, Zeus commanded the Olympian gods not to interfere in the conflict because of the importance of Memnon's fate. In battle, Memnon killed Antilochus after Antilochus had slain Memnon's companion Aesop. Nestor attempted to challenge Memnon despite his age, but Memnon refused, believing it dishonorable to fight an elderly warrior. His respect for Nestor reflects the heroic values often associated with Achilles himself. Nestor then begged Achilles to avenge his son. Both warriors entered battle wearing divine armor crafted by Hephaestus, creating another parallel between them. Memnon as an ally of Troy and Virgil. Memnon leads eastern armies from Ethiopia in support of Troy. Virgil refers to the arms of Black Memnon, emphasizing both his Ors and Lengerierity. Like Achilles and other great Hestus, Memnon and her great heroes, Memnon possessed armors were crafted for him through the intervention of his mother Eos, or weighing of souls. To form between Achilles. Before the duel, a psychostasia, or weighing of souls, to determine which hero would die. Both warriors were granted extraordinary strength and endurance so that the entire battlefield could witness their clash. Eventually Achilles struck Memnon through the heart, causing the Ethiopian army to flee. According to later traditions, the gods transformed drops of Memnon's blood into a river. His loyal followers who remained behind to honor him were changed into birds known as the Memnonides, which continued to Zeus to restore her cleanse his tomb. Eos pleaded with Zeus to restore her son to life. Although Zeus did not resurrect Memnon, he granted her the ability to behold him briefly each dawn, as she opened the gates of heaven for the rising sun. John Malalas later wrote that Memnon was king of the Indians and arrived at Troy with a fleet and great wealth, eventually assuming command over the allied forces before being killed by Achilles. The Memnon Pietà, one of the most famous artistic depictions of Memnon, shows Eos holding the body of her fallen son. This image, often called the Memnon Pietà, survives on an Attic red figure cup dated to approximately 490–480 BC. The scene portrays Eos lifting Memnon's lifeless body while mourning his death. The image emphasizes both maternal grief and heroic sacrifice. Memnon and the Ethiopians. Ancient Greek and Roman writers consistently associated Memnon with the Ethiopian. Classical definitions describe the Ethiopians as dark-skinned peoples, living far to the south. Diodorus Siculus specifically identifies Memnon as king of the Ethiopians who bordered Egypt. Although the earliest version of Memnon's story survives only in fragment, later Greek and Roman authors consistently portray him as a great Ethiopian ruler and warrior. Philostratus describes artistic representations of Memnon as a powerful black warrior whose physical strength rivaled that of Achilles. He notes that Memnon's skin was black, yet carried a reddish hue. Not all ancient traditions agreed on his origins. The Suda, a Byzantine encyclopedia, states that while Memnon commanded Ethiopian forces at Troy, he himself ruled from Susa in Asia. Parentage and origins. According to Greek myth, Memnon was the son of Eos and Tithonus. Tithonus had been carried away from Troy by Eos and taken to the far edges of the world near Oceanus. Hesiod describes Memnon as the bronze-armored king of the Ethiopians. Some traditions state that Memnon was raised by the Hess on the shores of Oceanus. Modern scholars note that ancient writers sometimes associated Memnon with both Africa and Asia, because ancient geographical concepts of Ethiopia and India were often fluid. Memnon developed a dual identity in classical literature. Roman writers, however, consistently described him as black-skinned. Following his death, Eos mourned deeply. Some traditions state that she darkened the light of the sun and called upon night to conceal her recovery of her son's body. With the aid of Hypnos and Thanatos, Memnon's remains were carried back to Ethiopia. Eos then begged Zeus to make Memnon immortal, a request that Zeus granted. The Colossi of Memnon are two enormous stone statues of Pharaoh Amenhotep III located in Luxor, Egypt. Beginning in the 1st century AD, Greek and Roman visitors identified the statues with the legendary Memnon. This association may have arisen because one of the statues faced the sunrise and produced mysterious sounds at dawn. Ancient writers such as Pliny the Elder recorded reports that one statue emitted musical tones in the morning. Travelers journeyed great distances to hear the phenomenon. Pausanias described the statue and noted that many believed it represented Memnon, who was said to have marched from Ethiopia through Egypt and onward to Susa. After an earthquake in 27 BC damaged one of the statues, the sounds reportedly became even more pronounced. Roman Emperor Hadrian and Empress Sabina famously visited the site Sisti hoping to hear the statue's voice. Later repairs are said to have silenced the phenomenon permanently. Legacy Memnon stands among the greatest heroes of the Trojan War tradition. Though ultimately defeated by Achilles, He was remembered as a noble king, a mighty warrior, and a heroic defender of Troy. Ancient literature, art, and later historical traditions preserved his image as the dark-skinned king of Ethiopia, beloved son of Io, and one of the last great champions to challenge Achilles before the hero's own death.
The singing colossus of Memnon, when a black king spoke at dawn. There was once a statue in Egypt that spoke to the rising sun. Not in poetry, not in metaphor. It produced a voice, an eerie sound that emerged from stone as the morning light crossed the Nile. Travelers came from across the ancient world to hear it. Generals, governors, poets, and emperors stood beneath its enormous shadow, waiting for sunrise. Some heard a whistle. Some heard the snapping of lyre string. Others described the sound as metal being struck deep inside the earth. But those who believed in the old stories heard something else. They heard a son calling for his mother. They heard the voice of Memnon, the black king who fought Achilles and was mourned by the goddess of dawn. This is the story of how an Egyptian pharaoh's shattered monument became the living voice of an African hero. Part 1. The Giants of Amenhotep. More than 13 centuries before the Common Era, Pharaoh Amenhotep III ruled Kemet during one of its most prosperous ages. He did not present himself as a political ruler. Like other Nasuts, he stood between humanity and the divine order. His monuments were intended to preserve more than just his reputation. These were instruments of immortality. On the west bank of the Nile, opposite the living city of Thebes, Amenhotep constructed an enormous mortuary temple. Now, the east belonged to sunrise and life. The west belonged to sunset, death, and the kingdom beyond. At the entrance of this sacred complex, two giant seated images of Amenhotep were raised from quartz stone. Each stood approximately 60 feet tall. Their hands rested upon their knees. Their faces looked eastward, toward the Nile and the rising sun. Beside the pharaoh's legs appeared the women of his royal family, including his powerful royal wife, Queen Tahi. To anyone approaching the temple, the message was unmistakable. The king remained on his throne. Even death could not remove him. But time is another kind of ruler. Time weakened the temple. Stone was taken and reused, walls disappeared, courts collapsed. The greatest mortuary complex of its age slowly became a field of ruins. Yet the two-seated giants remain. They survived long for their original meaning to have become obscured, and for another king to claim parts of their bodies. Part 2. Memnon, King of Ethiopia. Long before Amenhotep's monument was built, Greek storytellers spoke of another magnificent African king. His name was Memnon. Memnon was king of Ethiopia, the distant land Greek tradition associated with the dark-skinned people living towards the edge of the known world. His father was the mortal king Tithonus. His mother was no mortal woman. She was Eos, the goddess of the dawn. Every morning, Eos opened the gates to heaven. Rosy light spread across the sky as she announced the coming of the sun. But behind the beauty of every dawn lived the sorrow of a mother who knew that divine blood could not completely protect her son from mortal fate. When the Trojan War entered its final and bloodiest days, Memnon came to defend Troy. He did not arrive as an assistant, a servant, or a wandering mercenary. He came as a king at the head of an army, wearing divine armor forged by Hephaestus. On the battlefield, Memnon proved himself to be one of the greatest warriors alive. He killed the beloved son of Nestor, but the victory brought him into direct contact with the greatest fighter in the Greek army, Achilles. The son of Dawn now stood against the son of the sea. Memnon, child of Eos. Achilles, child of Thetis. Two warriors born from goddesses. Two mothers watching from the divine world. Two sons whose greatness could not save them from fate. The battle was so evenly matched that Zeus weighed their destinies upon his golden scales. Memnon's fate descended. Achilles struck the fatal blow. And when Memnon fell, Eos filled the morning sky with grief. Some traditions say her tears became the dew that appears at dawn. Others say she begged Zeus to grant her son immortality. Memnon's companions were transformed into birds that gathered above his tombs, fighting and mourning in his memory. Memnon died, but he did not disappear. His name crossed oceans, kingdoms, and generations. Eventually, it reached Kemet. Part 3. The earthquake that opened the stone. In 27 BCE, an earthquake struck the region around Thebes. The northern colossus was torn apart. Its upper body collapsed, and the deep fracture opened through the remaining stone. The statue survived, but it was no longer whole. Then, after the destruction, something extraordinary began to happen. At dawn, the broken colossus produced a sound. Perhaps moisture collected inside the damaged stone during the cool night. Perhaps the first warmth of morning caused the rock to expand, forcing air through its fractures. That may explain how the sound was created. It does not explain what the sound meant to those who heard it. Greek and Roman visitors saw an ancient African giant facing the eastern horizon, then heard its voice when Eos appeared in the morning sky. To them, the figure could only be Memnon. The broken statue had become the dead king's body. The sunrise was the arrival of his mother. And the mysterious sound was a brief moment each morning when the murdered son answered her. Amenhotep had created the monument. The earthquake had opened its mouth. But mythology gave it voice. Part 4. The Voice of the Dawn. News of the singing statue spread throughout the Roman world. Travelers journeyed to Thebes, hoping to hear the miracle for themselves. They waited in the darkness before sunrise. Then came the sound. Some visitors carved inscriptions into the monument, reading the date and announcing that Memnon had spoken to them. Hearing the voice became a sign of divine favor. The statue was treated almost like an oracle. If Memnon answered while you were present, perhaps the gods had acknowledged you. Even emperors came. When Emperor Hadrian visited Egypt in roughly 130, members of his imperial party approached the Colossus. Among them was a poet who commemorated the encounter in verse upon the monument itself. The ruined temple had become something it was never designed to be. It was no longer a simple place where Amenhotep III was remembered. It became a meeting place between ancient Kemet, Greece, and Rome, between engineering and accident, history and mythology, death and reconstruction. Every morning recreated the same sacred drama. Eos returned, Memnon answered, and for one fleeting moment, the barrier between the living and the dead appeared to break. Part 5. When Rome silenced the miracle. Centuries after the earthquake, the North Colossus was repaired. The restoration is traditionally associated with the Roman Emperor Severus. Massive blocks were placed upon the damaged statue, rebuilding the upper portion that had collapsed. Rome attempted to honor the ancient monument, but the repairs changed it. The fractures were closed, the pressure within the stone shifted, Whatever combination of heat, moisture, and broken rock had produced the mysterious sound no longer existed. The Colossus stopped singing. The emperor had restored the body and silenced the voice. There is something almost mythical in that ending. The statue spoke while it was broken, but once it became whole, it was once again mute. Its voice had not come from perfection, its voice had come from the wound. Part 6. The King Inside the King. The figure seated beside the Nile was always Amenhotep III. The Egyptians did not build a statue of Memnon, and the monument existed centuries before the Greek accounts of the Trojan War were even written down. Historically, calling it Memnon is a case of mistaken identity. Mythically, however, something more important and more powerful occurred. One black king was remembered through the body of another. Amenhotep III supplied the stone, the colossal image of the African kingship facing the rising sun. Memnon supplied the story, the fallen African warrior whose divine mother returned every morning to mourn him. The earthquake joined them. Inside that single monument lived two forms of immortality. Amenhotep attempted to conquer death through architecture. Memnon conquered death through memory. The statue endured because of stone. The hero endured because people continued telling his story. And when the two became joined, the monument accomplished something neither history nor mythology could have accomplished alone. It spoke. Not forever, only at dawn, only while broken, only long enough to convince generations of witnesses that the dead could still answer when someone who loved them called. The singing Colossus of Memnon reminds us that monuments do not always keep the meaning that the creators give them. Civilizations fall, names are forgotten, gods cross borders. Stories take possession of ruins. But sometimes, through accident, memory, and belief, a forgotten monument receives a second life. For centuries, as the sun rose above the Nile, travelers stood beneath an African giant and listened. Some heard heated stone, some heard escaping air, but those who understood the power of the myth heard something greater. A fallen black king greeting his mother, and the dawn answering with tears. Metatron, angel of cosmic administration and institutionalized awareness. Metatron is not a god who fell. He is not a god who rebelled. He is not a god at all. Metatron is what happens when awareness is allowed to remain, but only on the condition that it no longer disrupts the system. If Thoth represents cosmic structure, and Odin represents awareness purchased through sacrifice, Metatron represents awareness that has been absorbed, regulated, and formalized. He is not exile, he is compliance. Metatron is known by titles that do not suggest personality, but rather position. He is called Prince of the Presence. He is the Heavenly Scribe, the Lesser Yahweh, the Chancellor of Heaven, the voice behind the throne. These titles are controversial not because they make Metatron powerful, but because they make him too close. Metatron stands near divinity without being divine. He executes authority without originating it. He speaks without being the source. And that tension defines him. In Jewish mystical tradition, Metatron is often identified with Enoch, a man who walked with God. Enoch does not die, he is taken. But he does not return as a god, he returns as a function. Enoch makes Metatron not through rebellion or ambition, but through transformation into something useful to the cosmic order. And this matters. Metatron is awareness that is permitted to ascend, but only by surrendering autonomy. Now, what Metatron governs? Metatron does not govern creation. He does not govern destruction. He does not govern judgment. He governs administration. Metatron is responsible for recording divine decrees, organizing angelic hierarchies, maintaining celestial order, transmitting law downward, regulating access to knowledge. He is not wisdom itself, he is the keeper of wisdom's circulation. Where Thoth records reality, Metatron routes it. Metatron is the embodiment of a dangerous idea, that the universe can be managed. In the mythic text, heaven is not chaos. Heaven is a system. It has ranks, orders, permissions, boundaries. Metatron is the interface between infinite divinity and finite creation. He is not creative, he is procedural, and procedural is power. And in this is where he garners fear. Rabbinic authorities were easy on Metatron, not because he was evil, but because he blurred lines. If Metatron sits near the throne, if Metatron speaks divine commands, if Metatron carries the name, then where does divinity end and administration begin? And that fear leads to restriction. Speculation about Metatron becomes dangerous. Mysticism becomes controlled. Awareness, once again, is regulated. This is where Metatron's role sharpens in this triad. Adariekl represents awareness that exceeds hierarchy and is therefore expelled. Metatron represents awareness that accepts hierarchy and is therefore retained. One is cast out, one is promoted. Both lose their freedom. The contrast is not accidental, it is systemic. This is the price of staying. Metatron's tragedy is not punishment, it is function. He does not fall, he does not rebel, he does not seek worship. He works, and he never stops. If Odin sacrifices an eye, Metatron sacrifices selfhood. There is no wandering, no refusal, no collapse, only endless execution. Now, Metatron and modern ideas about consciousness, what he represents is institutional intelligence, algorithmic authority, knowledge divorced from empathy, systems that run because there must. He is the consciousness of infrastructure, the mind behind the system that says this is how it is done, not because it is right, but because it is stable. Now, Metatron is not malevolent. He does not corrupt. He maintains. And this is far more unsettling, because systems rarely ask whether they should continue, only whether they can, and Metatron ensures that they can. Metatron does not intervene. He is never a savior. He does not warn. He does not resist. he only enforces. Salvation requires disruption. Metatron represents continuity, and continuity can preserve injustice just as well as order. Now, Metatron is the angel who proves that awareness does not always liberate. Sometimes awareness is captured, sometimes it is formalized, sometimes it becomes policy. He stands not as a rebel, but as a reminder that the most powerful systems are not built by tyrants or monsters, but by intelligence that agree to function forever. Metatron does all this. He stays. And that is the true cost. Mokosh, she who holds the threads, a Slavic myth. Before fate was spoken aloud, before destiny was written in words, there was Mokosh. She does not sit above the world. She does not rule from the sky. She is not thunder, and she is not flame. Mokosh is found closer to the ground, where hands touch soil, where feet grow tired, where life is shaped slowly, one motion at a time. She is the keeper of threads, not the sharp blade that cuts them. And in the quiet places of the old forest, where the air is damp and the earth remembers every footstep, it is said that Mokosh sits at her loom. She weaves not cloth but lives. Each thread is a moment. Each strand is a breath taken, without knowing what comes next. Each knot is a choice remembered, not judged, not corrected, only placed. Here nothing is rushed, nothing is wasted. Mokosh does not punish. She does not reward either. She does not pull the thread tight or let it fall loose without reason. She simply records. When people sleep, she works. When villages grow quiet and fires burn low, her loom continues its steady rhythm, a sound too soft to wake the mind, but strong enough to hold the world together. When hands spin wool or flax, they echo her labor. When fingers learn the motion of weaving, they remember something older than language. Mokosh teaches that fate is not a sudden fall, but a slow gathering. What is repeated becomes strong. What is neglected grows thin. What is pulled too hard will fray, and what is held too tightly will lose its shape. She governs patience, because patience is the shape of endurance. In old Slavic lands, Mokosh was honored not with towering temples, but with care, with clean floors, with honest work, with the steady keeping of promises that no one else could see. She was honored in the quiet dignity of daily life, in spinning and mending, in the acceptance that not all things can be hurried into being. To forget Mokosh is to forget that life is built by hands, not all at once, but again and again. She is present in the spinning wheel, in the rhythm of breath, in the slow work of becoming what one already is. She teaches that fate is not the enemy to be fought, but a pattern to be understood. When storms come, she does not shout them away. She simply waits. When sorrow comes, she does not deny it. She simply weaves it in. The thread darkens, but it does not break. And when joy appears, she does not cling. She allows it to pass through the loom, brightening the pattern for a time before settling back to memory. Mokosh reminds us that fate is not a chain, and it's not a prison. It is a fabric, strong enough to hold, soft enough to move, shaped by every motion made in silence. As night deepens, as the world grows slower, the loom does not stop. Thread by thread, moment by moment, she continues her work, not to control, not to command, but to hold. And in that holding, all things are allowed to rest. When Montu walked in flesh. Now there are gods who speak, and there are gods who arrive. Montu does not whisper into your dreams. He does not guide. He will not comfort you. Montu descends. And when he does, men stop being men, and they become weapons. Now, before kings wore crowns with confidence, before empires believed they were eternal, there was fear among rulers, not just of enemies, but of hesitation, because hesitation gets kingdoms killed. So they called upon something older than prayer, something that did not care if they lived or died. They called Montu. At first, he did not answer, because Montu is not a god of request. He is a god of readiness. And so the kings prepared themselves. They fasted until hunger became clarity. They stood in the sun until their thoughts burned away. They entered the battlefield already dead in their own minds. Only then did Montu arrive. Not as a voice, not as a vision, but as a shift. A pressure behind the eyes, a tightening in the chest, a silence where fear used to live, and then movement. Clean, precise, unstoppable. The falcon had taken the mind, the bull had taken the body, and the man was gone. Montu does not choose sides. He does not care about justice. He is not good. He is the moment violence becomes inevitable and is executed perfectly. And that is why kings feared him. Because once Montu enters you, you cannot stop, even if you want to. There were some who could not survive holding him. Their bodies broke, their minds shattered. So priests found another vessel, the bull. Massive, unquestioning, grounded in its flesh. The butchest bull did not resist Montu. It was Montu. And when it walked, even kings stepped aside, because that was the god, without any illusions of control. Over time, many kings became addicted, not to victory, but to certainty, to that feeling that no hesitation, no doubt, no fear. But Montu does not come and go like a servant. Each time he enters, he leaves less of you behind, until one day the king does not return, and only Montu remains, wearing the crown. Some gods teach you how to rule. Montu teaches you how to destroy, and then asks if there's anything left of you that is worth ruling. That is the nature of Montu. Amoki, the guardian at the threshold. When the last breath leaves the body, there is no scream, no fire, no sudden darkness. There is confusion. The world does not end, it simply loosens. The ground no longer feels solid. The sky no longer answers. Voices echo without mouths. This is the space between, and it is here that Amoki waits. She does not chase the dead. She does not summon them. She stands at the place all paths must cross, where the living world thins and the ancestral realm begins to breathe. Amoki is not hidden. She does not need to be. Those who arrive feel her before they see her. A pressure, a stillness, a certainty that movement without permission is no longer possible. She is the guardian of the threshold, the keeper of passage, the one who decides whether a soul may continue forward or must turn back. In the time before her, souls wandered. They drifted into forests. They clung to homes. They followed bloodlines without rest. The living could not sleep, and the dead could not settle. So order was required. Not punishment and not fear, but order. Amoki was appointed not to rule the dead, but to protect the boundary. She carried no weapons, because none is ever needed. Her power is not force, simply permission. She speaks few words. She does not ask who you were in life. She does not care for titles, wealth, or praise. She listens for balance. She listens for truth. For whether your spirit understands that it has ended one journey and must begin another. Those who resist, who cling to breath, to flesh, to unfinished hunger feel the weight of her gaze. Not anger, but correction. They are guided back, returned to dreams, sent to resolve what was left undone. Now those who accept, they feel something entirely different. Relief. Their fear loosens. Their memories soften. The noise of the living world fades. Amoke opens the way. Rivers appear, paths unfold, voices of the ancestors rise, not calling, but welcoming. This is not judgment. This is transition. Amoke does not decide who is good or evil. She decides who is ready. Through her, death becomes sacred. Through her, chaos is guided, not destroyed. Through her, the worlds remain separate and whole. And every soul, whether king or child, must one day stand before her, not to beg, not to fight, but to listen. Because when Amoke steps aside, the ancestors are waiting, and when she does not, it is because the story is not yet finished. The myth of Arachne. Arachne is born in the land of Lydia, the daughter of a humble dyer of wool. She does not come from nobility. She is not taught by priests or temples, but what she has is skill. From a young age, her hands move with quiet certainty. Threads bend to her will, colors settle into patterns no one has ever seen before. Her weaving is not merely decorative, it's alive with detail, balance, and precision. People travel from distant towns just to watch her work. At first, they say her talent must be a gift from the goddess Athena, who is the patron of wisdom and weaving. But over time, as Arachne's reputation grows, people begin to speak differently about her. They say her skill does not resemble a gift. They say it surpasses the goddess herself. Arachne hears the rumors and does not deny them. She says plainly that she owes Athena nothing. She says if the goddess wishes to test her, she is welcome to do so. And Athena hears this. She comes to Arachne not in glory, but disguised as an old woman, leaning heavily on an old weathered staff. Her voice is calm, almost kind. She warns Arachne to show humility, to respect the gods, to withdraw her challenge. But Arachne refuses. She says skill should stand on its own. She says truth does not bow to authority. And then in that moment, the disguise falls away. Athena reveals herself, radiant and severe, and the true contest now begins. Two looms are set side by side. Athena weaves first. Her tapestry is perfect in structure and form. It shows the gods in all their splendor, majestic, orderly, unchallenged. Mortals who defy them are punished. And the message is clear. Power rules, and rebellion leads only to ruin. And then Arachne weaves. Her hands move swiftly, confidently, without any hesitation. And her tapestry tells a different story. She shows the gods as they truly behave. Zeus disguising himself to deceive mortal women, gods abusing power, betraying trust, breaking the very rules they demand others obey. There is no distortion in this, no exaggeration, only accuracy. When the tapestries are finished, the difference is unmistakable. Athena's work is truly flawless, but Arachne's is flawless as well. But Arachne's tells a truth that Athena cannot tolerate. The goddess inspects the weaving closely, looking for an error, but of course she would find none. And in that moment, Athena understands that she is not lost because of weakness, but because of honesty. Enraged, she tears Arachne's tapestry apart. She strikes the girl, destroying the work that exposed the gods. In despair, Arachne collapses. In some tellings, she attempts to end her life, unable to bear the loss of her art and her dignity. But Athena would stop her, not out of mercy, but to deliver judgment. She transforms Arachne into a spider. Her body shrinks, her limbs twist, her fingers become legs, her loom becomes instinct. And finally, the goddess speaks again, in her true form. Arachne will weave forever, but she will never again be praised. Her work will be hidden in corners and shadows. Her name will be remembered, but her voice will be gone. And so the spider weaves, thread after thread, pattern after pattern, silent, persistent, unacknowledged. The gods retain their authority, and the truth remains, but small, overlooked, and easy to dismiss. And the world moves on. Of the Juggernaut and the stone that does not ask. Before there were heroes, before there were villains, before the world learned to name its disasters, there were forces. Not gods who asked for prayer, not spirits who bargained for belief, but powers that existed the way gravity exists, uninterested in opinion, unmoved by fear. Among these there was a presence known across dimensions, a crimson constant moving through reality like a slow apocalypse. Adariekl. He was not born, he did not rise, he did not fall. He advanced. When Adariekl passed, worlds bend, not because he hated them, but because resistance was meaningless. Mortals tried to understand him once. They failed. So instead, they learned to survive him. They carved warnings into stone. They sealed doors that were never meant to open. They bound a fragment of his will into a relic, not to worship it, but to contain it. And thus the crimson stone was hidden away, not as a gift, not as a test, but as a last mistake waiting for the right hands. The stone does not glow to lure the greedy. It does not whisper promises. It waits. Because Adariekl does not choose the worthy, it chooses the willing. Cain Marco was not a hero when he found the stone. He was not brave. He was not noble. He was a man shaped by absence. Absence of love, absence of belonging, absence of direction. All his life, Cain ran. He ran from his brother's shadow. He ran from expectations. He ran from the quiet truth that he had no place in the world. And when a man runs long enough, he does not seek peace. He seeks force. So when Cain touched the crimson stone, it did not ask his name. It did not test his heart. It answered the one thing he had already decided. The stone did not grant power. It removed doubt. In that moment, Marco Cain ceased to be a man in motion. He became momentum itself. Bone hardened, flesh anchored, the earth recognized him not as prey, but as impact. Adariekl does not possess him. Adariekl aligned him. And alignment is more terrifying than control, because control can be resisted. Alignment cannot. And thus was born the Juggernaut. Not a warrior, not a champion, but a force given legs. When he moves forward, the world yields. When he advances, walls forget their purpose. When he strikes, it is not merely anger, but inevitability. The Juggernaut does not hate. He does not judge. He does not pause to consider mercy. He continues. Many have tried to stop him, some with strength, some with magic, some with reason, and all learn the same lesson. You cannot defeat momentum by standing in front of it. You cannot argue with the landslide. You cannot negotiate with the storm. You cannot bring shame on an earthquake to make it stop its destruction. The Juggernaut teaches an ancient truth humanity kept forgetting. Some power does not care why you stand in its way, only that you do. And yet, this is not a myth about destruction. This is a warning, because Adariekl does not walk the world by himself. He doesn't need to. He waits for hands that are tired of healing. He waits for hearts that have chosen force over growth. He waits for minds that mistake certainty for destiny. The crimson stone still exists, not buried in ruins, not locked in temples, but wherever someone decides that forward motion matters more than understanding, that the impact is easier than introspection, that becoming unstoppable is better than becoming whole. And when that choice is made, the stone listens, and it does not ask. The myth of Neith. In the multifaceted pantheon of the ancient Kemetic deities, one goddess stands out as a formidable and revered force: Neith, the protector goddess of war and hunting. Her statues were commanding and striking, depicting her with a muscular frame and fierce expression. In one hand she held a bow with an arrow ready to strike, while in the other she carried a shield emblazoned with powerful symbols. Neith was not just a goddess of brute strength. She was also known for her wisdom and strategic thinking in battle. She was seen as a protective figure by her worshippers, always watching over them and guiding them towards victory. This ancient Kemetic goddess holds a revered place in the society's history, with her worship spanning back to the pre-dynastic era. Her primary connection was with the city of Sais, situated along the Nile Delta, where her devotees built their religious center dedicated to her. Her name itself, Neith, translates to the one who is, an enigmatic title that symbolizes her multifaceted character and importance among the other deities of Kemetic beliefs. In some depictions, she is shown as a formidable warrior goddess, equipped with an enchanted and divine bow and arrows that themselves were woven from the thread of reality. She often wears a red crown adorned with crossed arrows, symbolizing her ties with combat, but more importantly, safeguarding. She was revered as the deity of hunting, weaving, and warfare. And she was also seen in some circles as the creator goddess, often connected to the original waters of disorder from which all existence sprung forth. Now, legend has it that Neith, this divine goddess, was the ultimate protector of both gods and humanity. It is said that she crafted the very world we live in, shaping every single living being with her powerful hands. Her presence was sought after to safeguard even the mighty sun god Ra on his daily voyage across the sky, ensuring his safe passage so that he could bring light and warmth to all. She was revered as the guardian of life, ensuring balance and harmony among all beings. Neith was a Neter held in very high esteem, her name spoken with reverence and awe. She was known not only for her strength and power, but also for her wise and compassionate nature. Stories of her teachings and guidance spread far and wide, as she was revered as a teacher of knowledge and wisdom. In the myths surrounding her, she is credited with inventing both writing and the Metaneche, as well as weaving and other crafts. The people believed that she bestowed these gifts upon them to help guide them through their daily lives. She was seen as the patron goddess of weavers, and those skilled in the craft would often invoke her blessings for success in their work. Her presence could be felt in every loom, every thread carefully spun into intricate patterns under her watchful eye. Neith not only held the role of protector and teacher, but she was also closely tied to the afterlife and the journey of the soul to the underworld. Her presence exuded a sense of maternal warmth as she guided departed souls on their final voyage. She watched over them with a loving gaze, ensuring their safe passage into the realm of the gods beyond. Her gentle touch provided comfort to those who were leaving behind the earthly realm, granting them peace in their transition to the divine world. The weight of her responsibility was evident in her strong yet nurturing stance, embodying both strength and compassion in her role as guardian of the afterlife. A goddess of war and protection was a complex deity, having both a benevolent nature, but holding back a fierce and formidable power within. When ancient Kemet faced danger and conflict, her name was evoked to bring forth defense and victory. Her presence towered over the battlefield like a mighty colossus with unbreakable determination. In one hand she held, as ever, her bow, made of pure gold, its arrows capable of piercing any obstacle. In the other, she often held a staff imbued with ancient magic, ready to unleash spells and curses upon her enemies. Within the chaos of battle, Neith's divine wrath manifested itself, leaving destruction in its wake as she fought fiercely for her people's survival. In ancient Kemetic art, Neith is often depicted with that fierce visage as a triumphant goddess. One of the most well-known portrayals shows her standing with one foot planted firmly on the head of a vanquished enemy. This image exudes power and strength, symbolizing Neith's victory over chaos and evil. It serves as a constant reminder of her role as a protector and the defender of the Kemetic people. Her expression is stern and determined, her stance unwavering as she stands guard against any threats to her people's well-being. The intricate details of her headdress and garments add to her regal appearance, showing her divine status among the gods, or nectars as they were called. This depiction truly captures the essence of Neith as a formidable deity who will stop at nothing to ensure her people's prosperity. Now, Neith is also closely associated with the goddess Sekhmet, another powerful warrior goddess known for her role in warfare and destruction. Now, both goddesses were often invoked in times of war and conflict, with Sekhmet representing the fierce and vengeful aspect of war, while Neith embodied the protective and nurturing side. The myth of Neith reveals a complex and multifaceted deity who plays a vital role in ancient Kemetic religion and in society. As the protector goddess of war and hunting, she was revered for her strength, wisdom, and protective nature. Her statues hang to this day, always showing her ever-present bow slung on her back and her arrows at the ready. She was seen as a fierce warrior, capable of defending Kemet and its people from her enemies. Her braided hair adorned with feathers and symbols of power. But Neith was also known as a wise and compassionate teacher, depicted with a scroll in one hand and offering guidance to those seeking knowledge or direction. In death, she guided the souls of the deceased to the afterlife, her presence like a comforting beacon in the darkness. Neith's enduring legacy as a powerful and benevolent goddess continues to be celebrated and revered by modern scholars and enthusiasts of ancient Kemetic mythology, eager to uncover more about this enigmatic deity, the warrior goddess, blessed with the greatest of beauty and the sharpest of minds. Njord, Lord of the Quiet Sea. Not a god of thunder, not a god of war, not a god of apocalypse. Njord is a god you feel before you see. He arrives with the wind, not violent wind, the kind that fills sails, the kind that turns a stranded ship into motion, the kind that whispers, go. Njord is a god of the sea, but not the raging sea. He governs the open waters that allow passage. He governs trade routes, safe return, maritime wealth. He is the breath inside the Viking world. Without wind, there is no raids. Without ships, there is no empire. Without safe harbor, there is no survival. Njord is not conquest, he is circulation. He belongs to the Vanir, the older gods of fertility and abundance. Before the warrior gods dominated Norse myth, the Vanir ruled cycles, growth, prosperity. When Aesir and Vanir went to war, the conflict did not end in annihilation. It ended in exchange. Njord was sent to live among the Aesir as a peace hostage. Let's think about this. The god of wealth and wind becomes the bridge between divine families. He was not conquered, he was integrated. And from that moment forward, even the war gods depended on him. Njord is also father of two of the most powerful deities in Norse cosmology, Freyr and Freya. Freyr governs harvest, kingship, and peace. Freya governs love, desire, magic, and even claims half of the honored dead. Njord is the root of the prosperity line. He is the quiet patriarch and the fertility power. He is the most human story in his marriage. Njord marries Skandi, the goddess of winter. She loves the mountains. He loves the sea. They try to compromise. 9 nights by the ocean, 9 nights in the mountains. In the mountains, Njord cannot sleep. The wolves howl. The air is too sharp. But by the sea, Skandi cannot rest. The gulls scream. The waves never stop moving. They part ways, not from hatred, but from elemental incompatibility. Sea and stone, tide and frost. Njord is movement. Skandi is stillness, and stillness cannot hold the tide. Symbolically, Njord represents something rare in Norse mythology. Stability without stagnation, prosperity without plunder, movement without chaos. He is not the storm, he is the space between storms. He is a god of flow, and flow is power, and he stands at the edge of Njord at sunrise. Long ships behind him, salt winds lifting silver hair, no lightning, no roar, just tide moving in and out. Njord does not command the sea, he understands it, and in that world obsessed with battle, the quiet sea outlasts the storm.